Hi guys, hope everybody's having a good week. Again, it's been a busy week in Messina for the most part. I think today was probably the busiest and went by really quickly because of that. So a couple things I thought I'd talk about this week. Um, let's see. So this week we're starting annual CSCs for next year. Um, which means I talked about them last week. So I go down to the junior high for all the eighth grade ones, and the counselors that split up the rest of the alphabet for grades 10 through 12 will take over my freshmen, which means that they attend the CSE meetings. But some of them, I fill them in on the students before, especially if there are students that we think need some counseling next year. There's one girl in mind who I'll talk about later because I had to do a mediation with her and another student today. Um, and she is just going through a tough time. Her parents are in the middle of a divorce. I think I've talked about her. I can't remember. Parents are going through a divorce. She has friend problems, some eating problems, bad anxiety. Um, she's bipolar, so she's got a lot going on. And she does see a counselor outside of school, which is awesome. And she sees her regularly. I'm pretty sure every week. But we kind of decided that it'd probably just be a good idea to have somebody to check in with here. She is linked up with our Liberty Partnerships teachers, but just to have a counselor to see her, we did it 2 times a cycle, so 2 times every 30 days. And that's our plan with her. So I kind of talk to them about that kind of stuff so that they can go into those prepared for what the resource teacher is probably going to say and other people that work with her. Um, so those started this week. There's been quite a few of them, only a couple of them that I've had to be involved in to really inform. So only a couple that are like really like need heavy involvement, like have a lot of outside resources and all that kind of stuff. Another thing that's taken up a decent amount of time this week, I had one of my students come in, and I've talked about her before. She was on the track team. I talked about how she's got a lot of anxiety, and when it comes to performing in her track meets, she struggles because there's a lot of people there. So she had finally figured that out and was feeling really good about it. And she came in the other day to check in, and I asked her if she was excited for spring track, and she was like, yeah. And I was like, okay, like I know you're not. Like, what's going on? Um, and she was hesitant to tell me, but I'm glad she did tell me. There is a senior on her team who does the same event that she and another freshman girl do, and they're the only girls that do it. Um, and he asked for their numbers, and it seemed like it was just for team stuff because they were all in the same event. So that's what they were expecting. What they started to realize was that he was texting them really inappropriate things, asking them to send them pictures, do sexual stuff with him, all that kind of stuff. And she had asked him to stop. She has a boyfriend. She said, I have a boyfriend. He's on the track team. Like, you know him. Like, what are you doing? Like, stop. And he didn't stop. He continued doing it. So I talked to her about that, and we kind of came up with a plan. Obviously, I phoned home to mom to make sure she knew what was going on, and she did know, but she kind of just wanted some help with how to help her daughter through that as well. And I think this girl had a pretty good handle on it, but there was just some things she wanted help working through, which I'm glad she did tell us because from there I was able to inform the counselor of this boy who's a senior and have her talk to him. So what I didn't know about this student is that he was adopted and was born with fetal alcohol syndrome. So he's kind of got some cognitive delays. Um, and from further discussion with him and then with his father after, um, he tends to have run-ins, not necessarily like this, but of that nature, where he doesn't really know boundaries and he doesn't know that it's not okay to text a 14-year-old and ask her for stuff like that and then continue to badger her and all that stuff. So I think it was handled well. She was a little nervous to see him at practice, so we talked to the coach as well, um, and kind of just made sure all of our bases were covered. All the parents were informed. She has his number blocked. She won't be practicing with him. and I don't know. I know that there's some other stuff that the other counselor had to do because that was her student, to make sure all the bases were covered. I haven't been able to check back in with her yet because she was in meetings all day today. Um, but so that was pretty time consuming just because it took a lot of communication between myself and Julie, the other counselor, and then the two students and the students' parents that were involved, and the track coach, and just a lot of different people. Another thing I wanted to talk about was my student who I talked about last week, who was sexually assaulted by her father. Um, I have seen her just about every day this week, sometimes for okay things, sometimes not. Um, she came in today just a complete mess, and I at first thought it was because she was about to have her CSE meeting, um, and her mom wasn't coming, and she was worried to face it on her own. That's kind of where it started, and then from that, she was like, "Honestly, I haven't been able to stop like thinking about this whole situation with my dad. It's consuming me. Like he had just come back into my life, and then this happened. I don't know how to deal with it." Um, so I kind of asked her how her appointment went yesterday at North Star, and she said it was good. I went, but really all they did was the eval and all of that like intro stuff, and then told her to come back in 2 weeks. So here she is with a 2 week wait until she can get in North Star again and actually start seeing a counselor. Um, so I was like, no, like that's not going to work. Like we need to figure this out. Like we can't have her sitting here for 2 weeks and just have nobody else to talk to besides me and Emily Kimball, who's our Liberty Partnership teacher. So I had hooked them up with a Renewal House, but I think what had happened was mom had told Renewal House that they had this appointment yesterday, and that they were going to see how that went first. And I kind of just called home and talked to mom about it again. And I just said, it's awesome that she's doing that. It's awesome that she's going and she's being so open about this. I think she needs somebody else to talk to until she can get to that appointment, or to come meet with her at school when she needs somebody to talk to. So mom agreed to call Renewal House back again, and talk to the lady we have been communicating with, and she got that set up. So hopefully that student will start seeing somebody from Renewal House at school. I believe she said she was going to come in Friday. Tomorrow's Thursday, so Friday, and see her for the first time, and then kind of come in on like an as needed basis, and we'll take it from there. So it's always hard to see her and like just know that it's consuming every part of her life, and um, just see a kid struggle so much with that. I just can't even imagine. So I felt good knowing that Renewal House is definitely in the picture and is definitely going to be here to help us when she needs somebody. So that was tough, but had a decent outcome. Another thing I had to do today was a mediation between two freshman girls. These two students are two girls that I think freshmen have a weird maturity range. Like there are some girls in the freshman class that are super mature, handle themselves really well, can handle conflict well, can talk to their friends when there's a situation. And then there's girls on the complete opposite end of it who are very immature, believe whatever's heard, or whatever's said. They believe anything that anybody says. And what was happening here was these two girls were best friends, and one had liked this boy, and then the other one started dating him, and the boy had started rumors that they both wanted to fight each other, and then so they were mad at each other because they thought the other one wanted to fight them and was saying all this stuff. And turns out this boy had just been saying the same thing to both of them. They hadn't been talking. They were in a couple of the same classes. It was causing a lot of issues within the class because the girls were either not going, or one had made an inappropriate video and got suspended for it. So it was just a lot going on with it. So I sat them down and we kind of talked about it. And it went really well because I think they started to realize that, if we were to communicate about this, this probably wouldn't be the situation, because instead of talking to one another, we decided to listen to all the other people that were getting involved, and we're just there to egg on the drama. And we let that completely take over. So that took about probably an hour to sort through had to let both of them talk and get it all out there, and then kind of see where we were at, where they wanted to go from there, and all that kind of stuff. So that was good because I do think it was causing some issues in the classroom before. And obviously, the one girl had gotten in school suspension for a video she had posted about the other one. So hopefully, they can start to figure it out, and hopefully, they can realize from that they need to have some communication within themselves, and if they can't communicate within themselves, to come to us again and let us help them figure it out. Let's see. So one other thing that I wanted to talk about was I met with my Learn to Lead kids this week, and it's always good to see them as usual. And we kind of just talked about the quarters coming to an end pretty soon, and again, a lot of the kids are struggling with their grades, struggling to find motivation. So I kind of just let them take the group where they wanted to take it, and a lot of it came back to just that weird time of year, middle of winter. Everybody's sick and tired of winter. They're ready for it to be over, and they fall into a slump, and then they don't know how to dig themselves back out. So we kind of just talked about some different things that we can utilize here at school. We talked about Liberty Partnership, which a lot of them are in, and they don't really know when they can go to that, and or what they can get out of that. So we kind of talked about that and how utilizing that is really important and can be really helpful for them, both like personally and academically. We also talked about how if they need help talking to teachers about what they need to do, because some of them just really struggle with that communication aspect, they can come in and see us, and we can help them come up with a plan of what they're going to, like how they're going to approach this teacher. Because there are some pretty rough freshman teachers that are hard to talk to, which I feel for them on that, because even I have a hard time talking to them sometimes. So we just talked about different ways we can talk to our teachers, what we need to be getting done, what are our different options, staying after school, staying in 3 to 5, all of that stuff. So again, it was really good to see those kids, and we had some of the mentors show up as well. And I think it helps for the younger kids to see them again and just kind of have the older kids give them a little pep talk and get them through the next couple of weeks. So that was good to see those kids. I think for now that's really all I had. I will keep you updated on how my girl with Renewal House goes and her counseling. And I think that's it for this week.